Hello, my name is Catherine. I hope you remember me. And I'm going to tell you another story about Jesus' special friends, sometimes called disciples. Last week, Olive told you a story about a special friend of Jesus called Peter. Can you remember what the name Peter meant? It means a rock. And Peter was strong and confident, but sometimes he acted before he thought about what he was doing and was sorry afterwards. This is another story about the disciples and Jesus. This story takes place after Jesus had been crucified and was raised to life again. The friends were out fishing in the Sea of Galilee. There was Simon Peter, Thomas, Nathanael, Zebedee, and 2 others. They were out all night, but by the time the sun came up, they hadn't caught a thing. Then all of a sudden they heard a voice calling, "Did you catch anything for breakfast?" They answered, "No." "Throw your nets on the other side of the boat." They did what he had said, and all of a sudden there were so many fish they weren't strong enough to pull them in. "Wait a minute," said Peter. "This is the same thing that happened a few weeks ago." Do you remember that story? Who do you think it was on the beach telling them to throw their nets on the other side of the boat? Peter realised who it was calling him, so he jumped into the water and swam to Jesus. The others followed in the boat because they were not far from land, pulling the net full of fish behind them. When they got out of the boat, they saw a fire had been lit with bread cooking on it. Jesus said, "Bring some of the fish you have just caught, dry yourselves and sit down by the fire. Let's have a picnic right here on the beach." Simon Peter joined them and pulled the net to shore. There were 153 big fish, and even with all those fish, the net didn't rip. Jesus said, "Breakfast is ready." And not one of his friends said, "Who are you?" because they knew it was Jesus. Jesus took the bread and gave it to them, and he did the same with the fish. After breakfast, Jesus took Peter to one side and said, "Do you love me more than these?" Peter said, "Yes, Master, you know I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Then he asked him a second time, "Do you love me?" "Yes, Master, you know I love you." Then he asked him a third time. Peter was upset that he asked for a third time, so he answered, "Master, you know everything there is to know. You've got to know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." Jesus trusted Peter so much he asked him to do something very special. He asked him to feed his sheep. I think by that he meant look after the people who follow me and lead them in the way of life I have taught you. These men were very lucky to have known Jesus as their friend, but we are too. We can talk to Jesus anytime and he will listen. I'm going to say a prayer, and if you would like to make it your own, say Amen at the end. Dear Jesus, thank you for being our friend. Thank you for being by our side when things don't always go the way we would like them to. Help us to be good friends and to care for your world and the people who live in it. Amen. Next week, Andy will be here to tell you what happened next. Goodbye.